Salutations, guys. Welcome to another episode of your new favorite travel podcast. I'm your host, Dee Carey, and you're listening to Travel and Shit. I guess it's more of an experiential conversation about traveling. And it's less of the how I did it, where I went, and all that jazz, and more of a how I felt, what I learned, and what I experienced. So, no announcements, nothing exciting. Oh, I was in Rhode Island. It was fun until it wasn't. I'm home. I have a job, went to work, and trash. And now happiness begins because I enjoy doing this. I actually quite enjoy my little podcast here. And this week, to add to the fun and the enjoyment, I have two beautiful guests. So let me preface it by saying, baby girl is the first young adult that I've had. You're the first. How old are you, Jayla?
I'm a
Oh, 11 was a fun year for me. So yes, you're the youngest traveling chick guest. Sorry about the title, but yeah, girl.
I like
Pass that. So, Jade, Mama, and Jayla, welcome to Travel and Shit. Thank you, ladies, for being here. I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves because I feel like in terms of identifying and intros and ownership on being, I can't do that for anyone. So, ladies, please introduce yourselves.
Okay, well, hi, I'm Jade. I do not like doing introductions, because I never know what to say. So, I'm the mother of Jayla, and we travel. We kind of mix travel full time and part time. I teach online to kind of feed my habit of wanting to travel and also being able to still do what I love, which is teach, but not have the bureaucracy that I had when I was working in the school system. Which I should also add, that means I homeschool my daughter. So that's me.
So, Miss Jayla, what would your introduction be?
Hi, I'm Jayla, and semi-good at introductions, which means I don't really hate them. And just imagine everything my mom said and put it into a kid's perspective. That would be my whole introduction.
Okay, except
I'm
for
home-
the.
Oh, I say you don't teach nobody online, but okay.
I'm going to school.
I was like the job part, you know. So, have you always been homeschooled, Jayla?
No, I haven't. I think around second grade, my mom pulled me out.
Yeah.
And what was that like for both of you? Like, why did you pull her out? And then what was that like for you, Jayla?
For me, it was actually, I was already working in the public school system and trying to fight it, trying to change it, trying to fix everything that I thought that was wrong when I realized that wasn't going to happen. And I was also teaching online. So I would teach online. I'd take her to school. I would go to school. We weren't at the same school. So I would go work at the school. Then I get home, I pick her up, get her ready for bed, and then I would teach some more online. And it actually happened in between first and second grade. There was a ton of issues that just were frustrating. And she came home and asked, like, can't you just homeschool me? Like with the attitude and everything. And I was like, yeah, I could. I said, but you have to finish out the school year so I can figure out how I could do this. Like at the time, I wasn't thinking, oh, I can take this online teaching full time. Like this could be my career. This is what I can do to ensure that I have income to feed you and to feed myself. So she finished out the year. And some of the issues came because she was in first grade, but they wanted to accelerate her to second grade. And there was just issues with the testing. And then it happened. So she kind of left at first grade, second grade, because that's when she made the transition. And then at the end of the year, I sent in my forms to officially withdraw her. And it's just been on since then.
I remember being so mad because I told everyone that I was going to second grade. Don't believe me.
So what was it that made you upset? Like, was it leaving the school or was it going to second grade? Like,
Neither of the things really bothered me. It bugged me more that no one believed me because I told them, oh, I'm going to be skipped into the second grade. And everyone was like, no, you're lying.
Yeah.
I'm like, just wait until it happened.
And it was because her teacher lied. Like, and I wouldn't, the teacher basically told me, she's like, oh, she finished her test and we're waiting for the results. And I'm very involved parent. I'm at the school all the time. I see the social worker, I'm like, how's her test results? And she didn't know what I was talking about. Like, she looked at me, she's like, what? She didn't know what I was talking about. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, we need to schedule a meeting with the principal. The principals, oh, we'll just have to wait till next year, not knowing that I work for the public school system. So they try to like hit me with the jargon and talk me in circles. And I'm like, how y'all met the right one today? So I sent an email after the meeting, CC the superintendent, principal, vice principal, and the teacher, and had my meeting the next day. And she had her testing that same week. So I think her frustration came from being told these things, and I'm telling her like, oh yeah, I'm getting her prepped for this stuff, only to find out that none of it happened. And when the teacher made a comment about knowing how to hold students back, but not how to accelerate them, I was like, even if my daughter doesn't take even if she takes these tests and they say, no, she's not going to be accelerated, she's not going back to this lady's classroom. Like, that's over. That's done. And then she took the test and like, oh, well, she passed all the tests and we're going to push her, we're going to go ahead and accelerate her. And then I'm like, no, y'all not. Y'all have to wait until after winter break, because now we are 2 months into the school year. This was supposed to be done within the first week of school starting. So I spent that last semester like working on the master plan, like how I'm going to pull her out, how I'm going to homeschool her, how am I going to work. And like I said, it's just been on since then.
So what state are you guys in? Like where were you teaching? Where were you living?
So I originally lived in Minnesota. So I lived in Minnesota. That's where I started my teaching career. And then I moved to Georgia. And we've been in Georgia for 7 years, but not 7 full committed years, because we traveled for one of those years. Then we went back to Minnesota for a few months, and now we're back in Georgia. But we're sitting here in Versailles, so now we're full-time traveling across the U.S. And but the home base is Minnesota and Georgia.
Okay, so you've got how you started with the idea of homeschooling, but what gave you like that? Because it's one thing to homeschool, but then it's another thing to because y'all live in a van.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if y'all picked up. I don't know if I mentioned it or if that was kind of, they live in a van. And I've always been fascinated with tiny spaces and van life, because I've seen some accounts on Instagram, and it's like you could really customize these things and honestly, how much space do you really need, right? Now, personally, I ain't ready for the jump. But it's always one of those things where it's like, oh, this is cute. Oh, wow, their apartment looks better than mine. And it's like a quarter of the size. This is adorable. And so you fall into those rabbit holes of you just looking, but you guys actually live it. What gave you that that's a hell of a downsize. That's not going from a 2-bedroom to a studio. That's like, right.
Yeah.
So what gave you that to actually do the living change?
Girl, do you know, did I tell you, or did I just tell you? Did I ask you?
I have no idea how it started.
Yeah, okay, so I know how it started. We had a van, but
Oh, right.
I like when I was in school, I thought I was going to graduate and buy an RV and travel and visit museums. Like, I love history. That's what I thought I was going to do. I got a full scholarship, so college happened, and then I got pregnant. Life, like all this stuff just kept happening and happening. And when I realized, like, my life is boring as hell. I'm tired of waking up and working, coming home, feeding my child, like making dinner. Like, that was my thing. I'm like, the only time I'm with my daughter is when I'm making her dinner and getting her ready for bed. So I would still get up early to make breakfast for her to eat, but then she wanted to eat at school with the other kids. So I'm like, I don't even have breakfast with you now. So I just felt like it was just really mundane. I was so bored. Like, I was tired of doing the same thing over and over again. I felt like if this is life, it's kind of whack. And then we traveled, and I had a truck and my engine went out on my truck. Yeah, so that's what happened. So my engine blew out. So I was like, well, I gotta get a vehicle. But living in Atlanta, like, Uber, easy. So it was cool for like the couple of months while I was trying to figure out what was gonna happen with my vehicle. And that's when I think I was like, hey, we should travel. And I was looking for a Class B, and it's like a smaller side. It's a bigger van, and it has a toilet and a shower and all that stuff in there. But I couldn't find one that I wanted, so I bought the van. But we still didn't start to travel till another year.
I think I remember that the one small trip you had before Versailles. You did
Oh
mention the idea of,
yeah,
we could live in this.
It didn't. It was a Durango. It was a Durango. So
I mean,
the plan was more like to travel, but to be able to park and go to hotels. But now we got this van, and this has an extended top, so it's tall enough for us to stand in and stretch and do whatever we want to. But I want to get something that I could park in residential neighborhoods, so I wouldn't have to pay for like campgrounds or any of that extra stuff. So I feel like it was like a thought in my mind to do it. And I kept looking. I was on Instagram, and that messes your life up because you see these people with these cute ass vans and all that stuff. And you're like, yeah, I could do that. But when it was time to actually start doing, I'm like, I can't do this. Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm supposed to do it all my stuff. And but we just like, well, let's just do it and see how it goes. And well, we started mid-December, so we're 2 months in.
We started at either like
it was a little bit
the last or the first.
Yeah, I don't even remember which day, but it kind of came down to like I have my house. So I have a house in Minnesota. I was getting my basement remodeled. The basement was finished, and the tenant was ready to move in. So I was just like, oh, we got to do it. It's time to go. So.
So you like rent out your house?
Yes, yeah. And
first day.
The first day. Ooh.
Sleeping in the car for the first time.
That was hard.
Cold.
It was cold because we were still in Minnesota.
To test it out.
Yeah, we were still in Minnesota, but I was like, we have to practice. So we did our test run in the driveway. It was cold. We were huddled up on the floor because I was still too nervous to sleep. Like before, we had a bench bed that was made, and we were able to pull it out. And now, like, I realized the bench bed was taking up too much space, so I took half that off, and now she sleeps up here. And I bought her like this little Walmart mattress thing. It's called a mattress couch, but it's long. It folds out and it's firm. So this is where I sleep, and that's where she sleeps. And we're learning as we go. Like, yeah, we're definitely still learning.
So, what did you do with all your stuff? Like, you put it in storage, or like, did you?
When we first left in 2016, that was when we left the country. Like we planned to travel for a year, but we went for 9 months. And I literally like sold everything. We were at Goodwill every week. I'm like, here's some more stuff. And we just started from 2 backpacks and 2 suitcases. So this time when we did, I said, I'm not doing that again. I said, because I get back and then I sit still for a while, and you have to rebuy everything. Like, and it gets annoying when you realize you don't have paper clips. I'm like, that's something so basic that I always had. So I'm constantly purchasing stuff. So the way I have my house set up, there's like a little storage under the stairs. I basically was like, whatever we can fit in here is what we're going to keep. Furniture, I didn't really care. Like, we can start over with furniture. Kitchen stuff, appliances, that's the part that I don't like starting over with, because I like all my kitchen appliances. So we have our important things to us in storage in my house, and then other stuff still in our house then. Oh, what? Yeah.
So when we were first going to move out of that house, like any normal, like some normal cute kids as myself, only travel stuff, but my room was a complete mess. I look back at pictures of it and I get anxiety. But it was fine to me when I was there.
Yeah.
When we were cleaning it out, my mom, I think I came out of my room with more trash bags coming from my room than the whole house combined. It's embarrassing. Yeah, that is.
How much stuff you have until you have to move it.
Yeah, like it got so bad. My sister came over, like I want to say like 2 days before we had to leave, and I was mad. I'm like, throw it away, throw it in the trash. And that was like, it doesn't matter. You haven't seen that stuff in a long time because it's just been sitting on the floor.
I miss it.
No, you don't. You haven't thought about that stuff.
I haven't.
Right.
No
So,
way.
it was just now because we're in this compact space, and she knows like, this is your space. This is how much stuff you have. This is where you can put your things. So it forces both of us to be minimalist. And I also realized that I am not a minimalist. So
Never realize how compatible you are able to stay in a small space until you actually do it.
no, there's sometimes I want to put you out.
What?
On my list of questions. So before we get to that though, like how do you, so if you are not a minimalist, like what would you call yourself middle ground? Because you're doing it. Like you.
Yeah. I right now it's forced. So like I want to go shopping tomorrow. I already told her, I said, we're gonna go shopping tomorrow. And I'm like, but if I go shopping, that means I have to, like, if I buy new tennis shoes, I have to get rid of the current tennis shoes that I have. And I try to keep it real simple. I'm like, I got a pair of cute shoes just in case somebody wants to ask me out. I'm like, okay, I can still go and do fun stuff. And I have some regular shoes and I need some sneakers, like, because I still go to the gym. So I need sneakers so I can work out. And it's just now the idea of like, if I purchase something, I have to remove something.
Okay.
Wait, have you been doing a good job about getting stuff and replacing it, or you just shove it in?
I'm not replacing anything in here. I brought these here because these are the necessities. I'm not throwing any of the necessities out. Like a stuffed dog, this dog and my stuffed and my doll.
She's been getting stuff like crazy. I'm like, you can't keep on. We don't have any more space. I'm like, the space that we have has to be the space but we actually, what did we get rid of? Oh, since we got rid of half the bench, we have a little bit more room. So I did designate, like, we have a little bit more space for extra things, but our van, like, it's pretty spacious. Like, we have a whole
chunk of space.
I was gonna say a whole lot of space, but that's not true. We have space.
Okay, so where do you guys like shower? Where do you eat? How do you prepare your meals? Like the stuff that people do like in a normal house, if you will. Like, you don't have a kitchen, you don't have a bathroom in there. Like, and then who like built out the van? Like y'all did that yourselves, right? Yeah.
You need to get these.
Okay. So I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna give you a little tour. Right. So right now, I have my iPad on top of our toilet. That is where you are currently stationed. So I'm gonna switch this camera around and give you a quick tour.
This is our bathroom.
This is Jayla's shower bucket. This is the actual shower. This is the water in here. This is where we keep it's called a camper shower. So you put water in there, you put it out in the sun, and it heats up. And then
you shower with
the Waterloo is actually just a bucket, and well, you ain't got to see inside of there, but we have trash bags that we put, not trash bags, they're toilet bags that we put in there. There's our kitchen. It's a water jug, and below there we have pots and pans, and then there's our refrigerator. The cooler plugs into the AC/DC, and down here we have like the canned goods.
Also, we have 2 libraries.
Yeah, and that's where all of our stuff is under. Well, you can't really see it because it's dark, but
like your books and stuff.
Yeah. So, I should point that up there. So we have some space up there where there used to be a TV, and then all these cabinets
is our attic.
But it's just storage. And then back here, well, behind my little comfy thing, are clothes. So the shower issue, she showers in the bucket
when it's needed.
Course. And I have a gym membership, so that's where I shower. I've not done the bucket shower yet, and that's just because there's gyms everywhere, and Yeah, because that you remember we got to that one place they didn't have showers. They didn't have the gym. I don't want to say the gym just in case they know I'm only coming there to take showers. And I paid for it, but just in case.
Right. We don't want no smoke. We don't want no beef.
Right. Yeah. So all that is taken care of, and then also like for the bathroom situation, so far the places that we've stayed, like where we've done like our stealth camping, has been places that are designated for overnight, like RVs and camper vans, like Cabela's, Bass Pro Lake. So I'm like, it's 8:00. We about to go handle our business unless you want to handle your business later. And so we'll go in there and do it. But there have been times I'm like, oh, bucket life, we have to because I have to go, and we're just nowhere near an open bathroom.
Or the place that we're staying, sleeping at is close.
Yeah. So that's one thing. I want to say that we're like 100% fully committed to our van life. Yeah, because when we were in Tennessee, we stayed at a friend's. In Atlanta, I have friends here, so I'm calling everybody like, "Hey, girl, hey."
Right.
So yeah, we've been staying place, but for the most part, in the rest stops, we'll go to rest stops. If I know where our day's almost over, I'm like, okay, let's go post up. But the only problem with the rest areas, some of them have those signs that say no overnight parking, or they'll have like a 3-hour limit. And I'm like, okay, let's just go to sleep. And if they knock on our window, then we'll leave. But that hasn't happened yet.
So what is a day in y'all life look like? Tell me, what is this?
I wake up. My mom's usually my mom is already driving.
Yeah.
And
don't say that. I'm not supposed to do that.
Okay, so I wake up at the same time as my mom, and I wake up. My mom's usually driving, so I go ahead and sit down. We do our good mornings, and the main things that I have to do every day for my schoolwork is Prodigy and CNN. Yeah. So I do my Prodigy in the morning, and then afterwards I'm like, "Hey, Mom, you want to do CNN 10 with me?" And I pop it up on this little Velcro strip I have that's connected to my phone and connected to the speaker.
Yeah. So the day starts. Usually I already have a plan for what we're going to do for the day, depending on where we are. Like some places I'm like, oh, we got to go here. We got to go do this. And so she starts her schoolwork, like her Prodigy is math, and CNN 10, that's the current events. And then,
I was going to ask.
Yeah. And we'll she has other, like each day, the way her schooling is set up, she probably has about an hour of independent study and then an hour where it's me giving her direct instruction. And each day is different. She has to do math every day. She does her literature 2 days a week, and then she does her history 2 days a week, and science 1 day a week, unless we find a museum. Like if there's a science museum in the city we're at,
boom, science lesson.
Science is done.
Hey, Mom, I'm done.
Yeah, and we'll just do it. I'm like, give me 3 facts. You have to tell me 3 things you learned, but I do the same. I'm like, you tell me 3 things you learned, and I have to tell her 3 things I learned too.
Usually not 3. It's usually like over.
Who, mine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like she has like a whole list that she keeps on her phone.
Well, I keep stuff in my note, like in my phone. When we go someplace, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know. I put it in my phone. So yeah, I always outdo her when it's time to share the facts because
I'm not making it a competition.
It's not a competition. I just like remembering the stuff that I learned because we do so much. And then our meals, like I still have not used our stove. Like we bought the little stove top with the propane. I haven't used it yet. I'm going to some point. I bought it.
Yeah.
But we'll eat our meals like. Yes, I haven't prepared. I don't think I've had to prepare anything because I haven't cooked anything. But we were vegetarians for a while. It hasn't really worked out. I started eating chicken again. So yeah, right.
I go every time I go out, burger.
Yeah, she eats red meat, and I don't even before the whole vegetarian thing, I'd never bought beef. So that's her thing. Hamburgers and Sprite, like that's her gift to herself.
Yes, Sprite is awesome.
Yeah, so we'll eat our fruit in the morning, make sandwiches throughout the day. I don't really like raw vegetables, so I miss roasted vegetables. Like
broccoli is fine, but then there's asparagus.
Yeah. There's some
and
vegetables I can't eat raw, so I miss eating my roasted veggies. But we're gonna get to it at some point.
One of them little hibachi grills.
Yeah.
So what, in terms of homeschooling, how does it differ from like traditional schooling?
I have a few.
Yeah, go ahead. Because our answers are probably gonna be a little bit different.
Real history. More history. Neither of those are bad things, actually.
Yeah.
No, there's no discrimination like there is in public schools. And also no, wait, I have a mom.
Oh, no, you didn't. She was about to say no bullying, but then she said she has a mom.
Good catch. Leave that part out, right?
It's not, I do, like, I don't bully her, but I tease her about stuff. Like when she had to get her glasses, I said, nobody's here to properly roast you. So
you can't let her miss out on that.
yeah, I had to, because that's life. You gotta get, you come to school with glasses on, they're on you. Like, so I gave her a little taste.
Also, they were pink with the bow on the side.
Yeah, them old glasses. But it's definitely different. Like that's one thing I enjoy about being able to homeschool her, that I can present the information to her that's factual. But another thing I always tell her, don't take everything I say for face value. Everything I'm teaching you is because I learned it, and maybe I learned it from this source, and another source is going to say something else. So she's required to do a lot of research. Yeah.
Like even before, when she learned about the planets, Pluto was still a planet. And then when I was homeschooled, it wasn't a planet.
Yeah, I had to relearn the solar system. I would.
At least she found out
Pluto.
before she taught me. Oh yeah, Pluto's a planet.
Yeah, but there's also things that I don't focus on teaching her because it's just not necessary. Like even when I ask people all the time, like
the Pythagorean theorem.
I'm all the time, but I'm like, what did you learn in the 5th grade that still applies to your life today? You learned all 50 states and the capitals. What if I asked you the capital of Wyoming right now? You're gonna look it up. Or if I ask you what's 2x squared to whatever, if it doesn't apply to life, then I'm not going to teach it. If she wants to learn it independently, she can. But there's just the subject matters, the things that need to be taught versus the things that just are being taught to fill space or to follow curriculum that's outdated. I'm not gonna do it.
I don't really have to do much with math and over multiplication and division.
That's what she thinks, and that's the thing that's so great about homeschooling. Yeah, she thinks she's not doing math, but we just had a whole math session today.
That was fun.
Yeah. So let me plug something about my baby.
Go ahead.
She wrote a book.
That's right, baby.
She wrote a book, and we went to one of the homeschool co-ops out here, and one of the kids asked her, like, how much is your book? And she said $10. We haven't chose a price point yet, so I was just like, oh, okay.
I said $10.
We didn't sit down and say, but so now it's $10.
It's $10.
So as I was washing dishes, I'm asking her questions. I'm like, I said, so let's say you want to make X amount of dollars. How many books do you need to sell? How many people in a building of 500 need to purchase your book? So she's doing math, but it's applicable to life. But if I was just, somebody's going to give you $100 and you got to do it, and she's just doing it just because it's an assignment, I'm like, I don't know. But she sat there and figured, she busted all those numbers down. She's like, oh, I got to sell this many books to make this much money. I got to sell. Yeah.
Right. As opposed to what is the tangent or the cosine of the shadow of a case of 400 of her books.
Yeah.
I've never ever used sine, cosine, tangents, the pies and square root, none of it. I know what my change is supposed to be. I never got played at the register. You know what I mean? I know what my change is. I know what the sale price is, and I know how much I got left in the bank. Those are the important numbers. So what is, when it comes to, because I know that there are certain, I'm assuming there are still certain I don't know what the appropriate way to put, like, does she still have to take tests? Are there, like, is there, like, how does she have to prove that she's actually learning anything?
No, but that's because we're in Georgia. So in Georgia, on the state laws, all you have to do is say that you're withdrawing your child. Like New York, though, New York is a lot stricter. I believe with New York, you have to keep a portfolio and you still have to do testing. Minnesota state laws, you still have to do testing. But what a lot of parents don't know is that even if your child goes to school, you can tell them that you don't want your child to be tested. But they don't tell you this. And the purpose of testing is to help with funding. The better your students do, the more funding you get. But also, the worse they do, the more funding you get. It just depends on the federal laws at the time. So she's not required. I'm not required to keep track of anything. I keep a portfolio because I want to be able to document that she's doing things. So even with college-bound homeschoolers, they can take tests to show what they've learned. They can submit portfolios. There's just a number of different ways that they can still access higher education if it comes to that, or if they want to return to a public school setting. So it differs across states. Like some states, their requirements are so strict. Like you have to be a college graduate, you have to have a bachelor's, or you have to hire an actual teacher, a licensed or certified teacher to teach your child, which is ridiculous. I guess I have a degree, I have my teaching license, I have my master's, but those aren't necessarily the things that prepare me to teach my child. Or like I said, I'm still learning. There's so much stuff that I have to learn before I can teach it to her, or that we're learning side by side. I'm like, I didn't learn this stuff in school. It's new to me, and it's going to be new to you. We're both going to figure. And I'll ask her questions. I'm like, we just watched this video about how to do research. And I'm like, what's the third way? I'm like, it was scientific, it was historical. And I'm like, I couldn't remember it. And so I don't put the pressure on her to try to memorize everything, because you're not learning if all you're doing is memorizing stuff. Because I was smart in school because I was good at memorizing. I was great at passing tests. I was great at turning in papers that my teachers wanted because I knew what they wanted.
Yes.
Signature something? Like something with the signature?
I don't know. That was historical documents. We'll watch the video again when it's time to review. So, yeah, that's one thing I always tell homeschooling families. Like, when you think about when you first have your child, you're teaching them everything that you know to prepare them for the world. And then you're sending them to a school expecting someone else to prepare them without even asking yourself, well, why am I sending my child to school? And it's just because you were sent to school, but you're not really thinking like, oh, what's the curriculum? What lessons are y'all teaching? Does this teacher have some bias against my child? If parents knew what teachers were saying in the teacher's lounge, they would be ready to fight. They'd be outside the school at the pole at 3:00, ready to fight. So, back in the day, like, meet me at the playground at 3:00. That'd have been the parent, the teacher. So it was just, I knew I had to take her out the environment. And I'm always telling people, like, well, if you want to homeschool, just ask me. I'll tell you the steps you need to take. And I outsource a lot for her. Like, I'm great at math when it's time to invest my money. When it's my money, yes, I got math down. But I'm not a good teacher when it comes to, I'm not good at instructing. That's why she said I'm not good at instructing her on how to solve a math problem in a way that's not frustrating. So I don't. She takes online math classes. I've hired tutors. And I always tell people, like, it doesn't have to cost a lot. You can go to the library and find a free tutor. So that's something I outsource. And I tell parents, like, if you don't feel confident in teaching something, outsource it. Find somebody who will do it. College students are always volunteering. Find somebody who can do it, because I don't do it all either.
Right. So you mentioned other parents. Like, are you part of like a homeschooling network or something?
Nope, I just got a mouth and I use it everywhere. We actually, so when we started our van life travels, I was like, we have to make it purposeful. I'm like, I can't just live in a van just because I want to visit states and go see the biggest ball of twine or the largest box of cat stuff.
Yes, whatever chair.
What do we just saw? The biggest chair over the...
actually, it's a certain type of chair. There's actually a big
Barney Fife chair. We saw the world's largest fire hydrant. We just like to pull up on stuff, but
we've been to a lot of world's largest.
Yeah, world's largest. We're going. But I started a YouTube series highlighting homeschool families. It's called Us School. And the purpose of it,
about that.
Yeah, the purpose of it is to show families how they can homeschool, and also like answering the whys. Like, why did you decide to homeschool? Because everybody has a different reason. But the how is my favorite thing, because I'm meeting families where I'm like, oh, I never thought about doing it like that. We had one mom who homeschooled with another mom. So mom works in the morning, mom works in the afternoon, so they switch. So she takes the kids in the morning and homeschools them, and then mom gets home and homeschools in the afternoon. We got moms and dads who are like, well, math is my strong suit. ELA, English language arts is her strong suit. So she does that and I do this. And homeschool co-ops where we've met 2 women, both in Memphis, who homeschool. Like, you can bring your children to them and they do the homeschooling for you. So yeah, it's a ton of different ways to homeschool, and
you would have to watch it to find out the others.
Yeah, and I'm a little salesperson. Get it?
Yes, watch our videos.
It's for me, like, when I started homeschooling, it wasn't something, she came in and she said she wants to be homeschooled, and I was already bored with my routine. So the first year we homeschooled, I don't really know if we homeschooled.
I don't know how we did.
There's a term they call deschooling, and that's where you take time off from school and you figure out what's going to work best for you. Because I was trying to imitate what I knew and what I was taught. So it was 40-minute blocks of everything, 6 hours a day. No, it wasn't working. It was stressful. It just didn't work. So now we have a schedule. You like your schedule now?
Yes.
Okay, I had to check before I said you like it. So
yeah, it's better compared to schools.
Yeah, and we traveled for 9 months abroad. And then we came back home and I tried like the K-12 online school, but that's because I didn't really understand K-12 school was just school in your house, but it's just online. So we packed the stuff they sent us back up and was like, here y'all go. Thank you. That's not what I'm trying to do.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we went through like, I don't know how many different programs we've used, how many different, like, for the most part, I build her curriculum. But I still like to grab resources because I'm teaching online to other homeschool families. So I already have these classes that I have.
So you teach to homeschool families, or do you also teach, like, is there, and that's what you were doing while you were still teaching for the Board of Ed?
Yeah, so actually, my students I was teaching were adults first. I started off teaching adult students English online, but it was independent. Like, it wasn't with any platform. I had one student and he told his cousin told his auntie, and they just kept on bringing me people. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I was making enough money to pay my bills and eat. Like, that's what I care about. Can I pay my bills? And when I'm done with my bills, can I still afford to eat? So all this stuff was just it was like, for me, it wasn't like a master plan. I didn't sit down and write everything down. It just kept on falling into my lap like, ooh, this needs to happen. So I did that. And then I came back. When we came back to the US, that's when I went like full-time teaching online. And when I say full-time, yeah, I work 10 hours a week. So when I say full-time, I mean that's my only job. Yeah. So, and I have enough money to pay my bills and eat.
Feed us.
Yeah, and do other stuff too. Like,
and extra.
Life is good right now. Like, financially, this is never ever where I imagined my life would be. It was, I just remember tuna days. Like, all I had money for was tuna. And so I've definitely came far. Like, even the whole van thing, like, a lot of people do the van life so that they can have financial freedom. And I'm like, well, I'm already there. Like, I have financial freedom, and now I'm gonna have a little bit more financial freedom because my bills, I don't have any bills to pay except for like,
no bills because we're in a car.
Girl, you are my bill.
Wait.
Yeah, so it came to that now. And I wouldn't just say I only teach homeschool students. Like, I do have kids who are in regular schools and their parents want them to have more. They're like, oh, they're not doing enough, or my child's struggling in this area. So it's not just homeschool students, but my primary source of income and like my primary clientele, I guess I would say, are homeschool families.
Okay, so so many questions. So where did you guys go abroad when you traveled?
You want to name them? Do you remember?
Spain, Morocco, Greece, Germany, Italy,
France.
Why do I forget France?
I always forget Italy. You just said Italy. I was like, oh yeah, we did do that.
I think.
Yeah, you got those. And then over the summer, we went to Egypt, Senegal, Ethiopia, Thailand, Indonesia. You forgot South Africa and Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah. So
how do we forget South Africa?
And Mexico.
And Mexico.
We did Mexico. So yeah, those are child. Yeah, those are the place we went. And then in the fall, we're going to go to Rwanda, Tanzania, and Ghana. Those are the trips that are planned.
Cue Andre 3000, or was it Outkast? I don't know. I think it was Andre by himself. Prototype. Like, you are my role model, because I always tell people, well, not like everybody, but like when I have like these little conversations about like, yo, fuck this job. Excuse me, babe. The hell with this job. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm gonna find a way to be a professional traveler. But then I'm like, I do think I want a family. Yeah, I might, 1 or 2 kids. I could talk somebody into doing that with me. But I don't want a home. And it's like, it sounds weird, but it's just like, I just want us all to just be everywhere and just like travel. And then I'm like, oh man, education. Okay, well, I don't think I want to do it, but then maybe I would. And then I'm like, I don't know. And so then I had this back and forth in my mind, because I envisioned homeschooling to be the 6 hours of sitting down, doing those 40-minute blocks. And I'm like, I don't do numbers. Numbers are not my ministry. I know my babies will know what their change is to be.
Right.
And they will learn to tell time, like old school, like on, a traditional clock and stuff like that. But I was thinking of all the different things that I didn't know that I would be able to do. But then when you mention like the different ways that people homeschool, and just the way it doesn't have to fit in like any particular shape, it's kind of like,
now you got to start making that vision different. You're like, oh, okay, we could have it like this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now I just gotta find me somebody to make some kids, and then we could be all over the place. I just am so very impressed with how much you guys have traveled, and for her to be so young and to have been able to experience all those things with you. Yeah. And not have to wait until she's, in her 20s or 30s to have to, adventure off and do it. You guys can adventure. I love that you guys are adventuring together. That is incredible. And I guess that also kind of leads to the next question is, what do you guys do about personal space? Because I know as a grown person, it's just like sometimes you just don't want to child. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to, you want to just have grown folk conversation, or you want to just talk to me.
I mean, okay, so I know since we were recently on our road trip, I was listening to the podcast. I'm catching up, listening to the different podcasts, and I know that you said you don't like traveling with people. So I don't either. I have one friend that I travel with because we are compatible when traveling. When we are ready to turn up, we turn up. When I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a nap, she like, yeah, I'm taking a nap too. So we don't ever have like conflicts when we travel together. I've traveled with other friends, and that's why I don't do it anymore. And traveling with my daughter, it was something like I wanted to travel. I did not want to sit at home. It's just not what I wanted. So when I brought it up to her and asked her if she would like to do it, and she said yes, I'm like, boom. So she's a great travel companion. Like, I try to remind her all the time, like, you know what, I'm glad that you thugged it out, because she could have, like, she could be a complainer, she could be like lolly, people do it, just all that, but she's always down. That doesn't mean that I don't get tired of her. And I've allowed her, I shouldn't say I allowed her, she's her own person, but I tell her, like, when she like, I get tired of you too, people like, oh my God. I'm like, she does. Like, that's true. Like,
have you ever spent your whole day with someone every day? Wake up, they're there.
Yeah.
Eat, they're there.
So
Sometimes
that's the one
bad
thing.
sometimes,
I don't stop her from saying that. The first time she said it, I was like, oh, you get on my nerves. She said, you get on my nerves too. And I almost backhand, almost said almost caught the black man backhand, but I'm like,
it's not really a bad thing that we're always.
I had to think about that too. I'm like, you know what? If I'm telling you get on my nerves, I'm probably getting on your nerves too. So, van life, I haven't found. I mean, other than like being able to pull up at my friend's house, like, yo, can we come and stay with you for a couple of days? We get our space that way, and she has friends in almost every state that we go to. Like, she knows people, and I can, I'm like, y'all go do y'all's thing. Even if it means me having to pick up a friend of hers and going to like Chuck E. Cheese. Like, but that's for her. I'm like, you have to have your time to enjoy being a child.
Right, yourself also, while she's occupied with her friends.
Yeah, and when we were traveling full-time abroad, there were no breaks. And it was literally me be like, go in the bathroom. Like, go to the bathroom. Get out of my face. Like, go.
I bring my phone and binge watch My Little Pony.
Yeah, she'd have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, we need to be in separate rooms. Right. I want out of my face. And so, yeah, that was our break. And then I would, right before I come back home, it was, yo, I'm about to be back in town. Who wants her? And there she go. Drop her off for a week. And it was crazy. Like, when she was younger, I couldn't do it. Like, I could not release her to anyone other than her dad. It was like he was the only person who she would go with. And then as like relationships changed, as she got older, I realized, like, you gotta go. Like,
anywhere.
Well, yes, I'm gonna shout out to Kim. When we moved to Georgia, I met a woman named Kim, and she always had her grandchildren. And so she's like, let your daughter come. I have my grands. I can just take her. And I was adamant, like, no, lady, I don't know you. I'm not. Like, that's exactly how it was. But now we're like, that's like my boo, my bestie boo. So anytime she would be like, oh, I have my grands, I'm like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm pulling up with the bag. Here she goes. She took her out of town. And I had to realize, like, I needed that. Like, I can't be I needed my breaks. And now that she's older, like, yes, baby, I'll be back in 2 hours.
Feel better about letting her, on her own a little bit. She's older. She knows her words. She knows, like, self-autonomy, and you are confident in her being able to speak up for herself, I would assume. Yeah. So in terms of the major life shift, what did your family say about it? Like, what were people's reactions? How did your friends comment on the situation?
Did your friends say to you, like,
my friends?
Yeah, like, when
I didn't have any friends. I had family.
No, I'm talking about, like, okay, you talking about that first time, but when you tell your friends, like, we live in a van, do they say anything?
Well, when I told one of my friends, she's homeschooled too. She was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And she's pretty used to crazy things.
I know who you're talking about too.
and then I have my other friend, and she's in a public school, but she has like the best imagination. Like, the most amazing imagination ever, and that's why we're so compatible.
Yeah.
And we're both loud. Anyways, she was like, "Are you guys crazy?"
My friends and family. Well, my friends know me. Like, they know me. So there wasn't like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're doing that. They were like, oh girl, call us when you get there. Make sure you check in. And then as far as my family, like, what can you say to me? I'm grown. I take care of myself. I pay my own bills. There's not a single soul who can tell me what I can or can't do. So when I tell them, when I pop up, like, we're going to be out the country for 6 weeks, we'll be back. Okay, girl, see you when you get back. Like, there's no pushback. Like, even with homeschool, like, I meet a lot of people like, my mom's against this, or my husband doesn't want me to homeschool. And I'm just like, oh, like, that's not a problem that I have. The people around me, they might think something. They haven't said anything to me. I'm just gonna do what I want to. That's kind of been my attitude my whole life. I'm gonna do what I want to. So I think the people around me know this.
The second time we traveled
Over the summer.
Yeah, when we went to Thailand and stuff, I realized how much I really called my friends a day.
Oh, when you couldn't
Because
call them?
I didn't have any Wi-Fi connection. There was one, and I'm surprised I'm the one saying this because I usually read books a lot, but I'm looking at my phone like, I need to talk to my friends.
Oh yeah, that happened.
They probably think I'm dead right now.
No, that did happen. When we went to Ethiopia, and apparently the government shuts the internet down during testing time, so that the students can't cheat. Our tour guide failed to mention this. So for 3 days we had no internet access. We couldn't call people. We couldn't, like, there was just no contact at all.
And it cost rates.
Well, even that, we couldn't even do that. Like, the way our phones were set up, like, even if I wanted to call or text somebody, it was just blocked. So once we got back, yeah, once it was turned back on, and I don't know if this is when we got back to the capital or when it was, but I heard her friend say, "I thought you were dead." Like, she was.
Which one said that?
You know which one said that.
I do not know which one said oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I was gonna put it in, but and my friends, like, I had to text them like, "Yo, like, we're straight, we're good," because I always do the check-ins. Like, even when we travel someplace, my friends, our iPhones that find location is turned on, because I'm not that adventurous. I don't want to be someplace where nobody knows where I'm at. Everybody who knows, like, my circle, they know where I'm at all times.
Yeah, I already, the first two that popped up in my mind, I'm like, yep, always.
Yeah, see, you got them too.
Always,
like, you know where I'm
at. Share my location, and if I'm doing something that, okay, I haven't been here, or this person doesn't know, girl, I'm going X, Y, and Z. Screenshot. Here's this picture. Here's that. And block everybody. Everything is done. And then I always make sure that even if I have to pay that 25 cents a minute or whatever, when I land, listen, mama, I'm alive. I'm good. Daddy, I'm good. I'm here. You ain't gonna hear from me for a minute. I gotta find this Wi-Fi, but I'm here because I'm not paying for anything past that. But I completely understand that. So what do you guys do for, like, insurance or like dental, vision? Like, she wears glasses now. Like, what about that?
Actually, before we left for traveling, my mom took me to get my eyes checked. They found out I needed a new prescription because I failed my test with my glasses on.
Yeah, I don't have to wear glasses, so I don't know anything about the glass wearing life. So even when she needed glasses, I was just like, "Oh, you just want attention. You just want you." Because
I was being a drama queen. All my family said, "Oh, she needs glasses. Oh, she needs glasses."
Because it was, glasses, braces, like, all this stuff, like, little kids and even some adults want so that they can look different. So I thought she was just doing the squint thing. So I would say, "Oh yeah, you do need glasses." And then my friend who wears glasses was like, "Girl, you need to take her to get her eyes checked. She can't see." And I was like, "Well, how do I do that?" I'm like, I didn't even know, like, what steps am I supposed to take to go get her eyes checked? Just like America's Eye, what is that place? America's Eyeglass or something like that.
No idea.
Vision World, Pearl, whatever. So I took her to one of those places, and yeah, she failed. Like, she failed real bad.
I failed miserably. That's all I remember.
But she was still, like, putting on while she was there. Like, even the optometrist was like, "Okay, I need," like, she was straight up acting like she didn't know letters. And I'm looking at him like, "So you gonna act like you don't know your ABCs, like basic letters?" And he's like, "I need you to be honest about what you can and can't see so I can prescribe you, get you the right prescription." So I was still like, yeah, she faking. But she finally stopped doing, like, the extra stuff, and she needed a prescription, and then she got her other prescription. But for insurance, I have the extra travelers insurance through my credit card. I've never purchased travelers insurance. I did get sick one time when we were traveling, and I just refused.
Would it be considered 2 times since we did?
I refuse to twice. No, that was like a regular like jet lag type of sick. This one I was sick. Like I was taking all the medicine in my first aid kit bag that I packed when I traveled.
Like something's gotta work.
Yeah, something had to work because the doctor was like, "Oh, we're gonna give you an injection," and I was like, "An injection of what?" And he's like, "It's an injection."
Nope.
No, I'm so lame. I said, I'm just gonna take. I took all the drugs. Like I took everything in my bag, and so I felt better. Yeah, that was when we were in Kenya. So we were in Kenya.
A random injection. You're not even gonna
tell me. That was his answer. He's like, "Oh, you get an injection of what, sir? Like what?"
It's just an injection. Nothing to worry about. You don't know if we're putting poison in you or anything.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm good.
Extend. But yeah, so and another thing, like we very, very, very rarely get sick. Like I do worry, like what if we have like a major accident? Like I see those things, like the people who share their stories, like, "Oh, I broke my leg, and now in order to get back, they have to send me a private plane because my leg's broke and they can't put me." And I'm like, "Ooh, hopefully, prayfully, nothing like that ever happens." So I pay that extra on my credit card for that those traveler incidents. But as far as getting sick, because I don't typically go to, I'm trying to think the last time I went to the hospital.
Before we left.
Like besides when we left and we like got our shots and stuff, but I don't really like going to hospitals if I'm sick. Like other than like my annual checkups as a woman, I do that. But if I'm sick, I'm like, there's a remedy. There's something that can fix me better than the drugs that you're going to give me.
Something natural.
Yeah, but I will take, like when I gave birth, every drug they offered.
I'll take it.
Yeah, there's some things I don't play with. And then like I took the only reason I got her the Theraflu was because we didn't have any place where I could get her my remedies. And then I took Theraflu like one time in my life, and this was right before I went to New Orleans. And I went with my best friend and her mom for my birthday, and I was sick. I was like, we're about to get on a plane. I was like, I couldn't talk, and my head, you know that feeling when your head feels like a brick. So her mom gave me this Theraflu, and I drank it, and like I felt it, like going through.
Its magic.
Yeah, I felt it. So I was like, oh, this is right. And I felt better immediately. But it's not something like if I was that type of sick again, I'd run out and get it again. But I was like, well, she's not feeling good, and we had a jam-packed week. So I was like, here, take this. And I told her to do half a pack. Like, she didn't even take the whole packet. But yeah, it took her out. Like, she slept. Like, she only got up when we had to go, like, mix and mingle, and then she went back to sleep. And she would sleep so hard when I was, like, calling her name. I pulled over at a gas station and jumped in the back seat. I'm like, Jayla. I'm like, oh, okay, girl. Like, I was worried. I was so, yeah, so far Kenya was like the only time we got like super sick. We've never had any like major incidents where we got injured and had to go to a hospital. And then like for everything else, if like when she does her checkups, it's just out of pocket. I just feel like it's cost less for me to pay for our medical care out of pocket than it has if I pay monthly.
Can I mention that the Theraflu did nothing?
Girl, knocked you out.
It did nothing except for make me sleep.
It took you down.
And it wasn't even, you woke up, it wasn't like the sleep where you woke up and I'm like, oh, I feel so refreshed. It was like, can I even sleep?
Oh, girl, you was a brick.
It didn't do anything for me.
Question for you. One of my friends asked me, because we were talking and they'd asked me, who's coming on? I was telling them about, these homeschool mother and daughter that were coming on. And at the time I didn't know how old you were. And he was saying, because I'd said, I don't know, like she's not that old, she's not that young. I think I told him like, oh, I guess she's like 13 or something like that. 14. And then he had said, well, would she rather be in regular school? And I was just like, I don't know. I would assume it depends on the child. Like it depends on the person, but I'll ask. So would you think, or would you possibly see a day where you would want to go back to traditional schooling? Do you have a preference? Like you started homeschooling pretty young. What are your thoughts on it?
We're going back at this age. I have 3 answers for that. No, never, never again. I to. I don't want to. And I have seen how middle schoolers act at this age, and I'm like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go there.
Oh, girl, you look
Sorry. I did not want to. I don't want to go back. But for college, I definitely do. I definitely do want to go to a college because I feel like I want that experience.
I'll probably amp college up too. Like I love my college experience.
Yes, and you tell me it's my ask. Yeah. So I want to go.
I mean, I do have a plan. Like I want her to, because we travel so much, it's us. And I want her to go to a co-op. So I told her like next fall we're gonna sit still and I'm gonna send you to a co-op, maybe like 2 days out the week. And I think another thing, a lot of people think homeschool is they don't socialize. And I always respond, I'm like, neither does your child. If your child's in a classroom with the same 20 students every single day, they're all in the same age group, and they're told not to talk. They don't get to talk at lunch. They get to talk at recess. But they're not doing a lot of socializing. This child can talk to anybody. She can be best friends with a 2-year-old and a 20-year-old. She can't be best friends with a 20-year-old. But what I'm saying is, like, she can carry on a regular conversation with anybody without any fear because she's social. She's around everybody all the time. And the idea that you have to go to school for 6 hours a day with the same people and you're all learning the same thing the exact same way when nobody learns the same things the same way. You're expected to sit still. Adults don't sit still. If you walk into somebody's office right now, y'all get up, you talk to each other, you move around, you do what you want to. You don't raise your hand and wait for your boss to come out and ask if you can use the restroom. It's just the dynamics of school. Just if you really study it and research it, it's not that great. So
I honestly love the fact that I can walk out. I can just walk around in my pajamas, and whenever I want, just grab my workbook, throw it on the ground, and throw myself on the ground and do it myself.
Yeah, and but yeah, no. In the fall next year, after we're done with our traveling, I am putting her in a co-op. But the reason for that is not because of the socialization aspect, because she has, like I said, she has friends all over the world. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know somebody in this state too? But I want her to have that experience. Like middle school, I hated middle school. I didn't like anything about middle school. So that's not the reason. But because she's around me, she does the right thing. She makes the best choice because she knows I'm there. She knows I'm watching. I need her to still have that same, I want her to experience me not being there and then somebody possibly trying to say, hey, you should do this, even though she knows it's wrong. And she has to try to make those choices. And I'd rather have her experience that now while she's young than to wait till like college. You get to college and everybody's like, oh, do this, do that. And she's like, ow, and getting caught up in the dumb stuff. So middle school is that age where people are going to put that pressure on you to maybe do stuff that you don't want to do, or, you know, everybody's coming into who they want to be. She knows who she is now, but like when you're around other people, are you still going to hold firm to who you are? Are you still going to, you know, think about the values and stuff that I'm instilling in you when I'm not around? So she has to go. And also I need my adults, I need at least 4 hours with no child.
So that co-oping would be you guys staying like in one area and then going to someone else's home to homeschool, or like another location or whatever, and homeschooling together with other homeschool kids. Okay.
Yep.
Are you excited about that?
Yes. Are you?
Wait, hold up.
Are you excited about going to a homeschool co-op?
It depends on how the kids are.
Well, yeah.
It depends on how the people there are. But yes, I'm really excited.
I care about that too. Like, I absolutely want her to be around people who have the same mentality as us, the same thought processes, and who are going to teach things that aren't necessarily based on like the curriculum that's around now. So there are different places that we're looking at. And I don't want to say I don't care if she likes the people or not, because I take her place. I'm like, well, is this something you're interested in being a part of? But on like the other hand, I'm like, if I put you in a program and you don't like the people here, I still need you to sit here and do it, because you need to realize that in life, You are going to be placed in situations. You're going to be around people you don't like.
Yeah.
And mommy ain't going to always be like there. Because, yeah. I mean, unless you build your life the way you want to, you don't have to be around anybody if you don't want to. But for the most part, those are the things I think about. Like, I don't want, she's definitely not in a bubble. I've met some homeschool families where I'm just like, oh, you do realize that your child has to get out from under you because life, they have to experience that without you.
Can I tell you that one thing at the one camp?
Oh.
Okay, so I was at my mom signed me up for this YMCA camp thing. And since I skipped a grade, I was put in the uproar class when there's a younger class.
You're giving out too many details.
Yes, too many details.
The upper level class.
And I went to be with the younger level class. I'm like, oh my gosh, these people here are so nice. Yes. And then I went into, and then they're like, oh, you're supposed to be in that room. I walk into that room. I'm like, no. I was so happy I brought a book with me.
Yeah, them kids, they were the kids that were off the chain, and she wasn't ready for that.
I had no filter. I did every single word in the book, and then some.
You talking about the cuss words?
Yes, that, and then some.
It's so funny because I cussed around her all the time. Like when I first had her, I was trying to be like the mom who talks gently and come here, let's talk about it. I only played nursery rhyme music in the car, and I'm like, ooh, this is a lot depressing. So I was like, listen, we're listening to Kevin Gates, and I don't care if you want to hear it or not. And I got over the not cussing, and I tried to tell him, like, I'm not cussing at you, I'm cussing around you, and like it's just words, but still the matter of respect. Like, she went to that program in those middle schools. She's like, they were cussing. I was like, they were cussing at the teachers? I'm like, the staff, like, they weren't doing anything. Like, that was my issue, that the staff had they had no control. There was just a lack of control. They were just saying, like, okay, stop cussing. Yeah, so, and that was what happened, because there's the group that's stopped. Like for younger elementary. They stopped trying. Yeah. They stopped trying after once. Then the older ones. And so she ended up being in the older group because that would have been her grade. I called them, I'm like, y'all got to put her with the other kids. I'm like, because it's just not working out. And then I had the best experience. Yeah, and then she enjoyed it. And she was going to go anyways, because that 1 week of camp was like how much it used to cost for a whole month of camp in Atlanta. So we did camp in Minnesota, and 1 week was the same price for the entire month. So I was like, you're going. I paid for this, then you're going.
A month to a week?
Yeah, so in Atlanta, the summer camp program that she went to was, I don't know, it was really, I can't remember how much it was, but it was really cheap. It was so cheap that I would pay extra at the end of the week. Like, oh, here's like my my sewing gift to y'all. I'm gonna give this extra to y'all. But the camp that she went to when we were back in Minnesota, like the last summer, that whole week program was the same cost of what I spent for the entire month for her down here. So she was going because I paid for it already. And then the week after that, one of my old friends, he was like, well, we got a summer camp over here at the school. It's free. I was like, she gonna be there. Yeah, so awesome. So yeah, it still ended up working out.
So Jayla, how do you make friends? Like, do you have, are there like home study or homeschooling groups for kids your age, or like, how does that work for you?
Well, sometimes when I do go socializing, like at places, there's usually at least one kid that is very loud. And then we click. And then we're loud together. That's how I met one of my friends, and I'm like, take my number.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, so she makes
friends in every state.
Yeah.
Everywhere
if they're loud, I'm loud. It's like, I'm loud. I'm loud too. We are friends now. Okay.
Y'all high energy.
That's how it works.
So is it that, because then my question is, when you guys go to the different stops as you're traveling, like as you're driving around the country, I'm thinking, all right, it's Tuesday at noon. Most kids are in traditional school. So is it that the other kids that you meet tend to be other homeschool kids, or is it that kids are on school trips? Like, how do you end up running into other kids as you travel?
Um,
You gotta think about like the recent people. Like I will say one thing, like we spend our days, we don't just chill in the van all day. We'll go to the library, we'll find like a local library, because I still have to teach. So I teach online and she's in some of my classes. So even during that time period while other kids are at school, she is too. She's just doing it differently. So we'll go to like a study room and I'll be on my iPad, she'll be on her iPad, so she's still in class with me. But since we're doing this us school project, we're meeting homeschool kids. And that's during the day. So she clicks up, but like even when we were traveling abroad, I'd always find a playground. I'm like, the first thing on the list is find a playground and find some fresh fruit. And yeah, she would just she would go and make friends with kids. They don't speak the same language, and then she's trying to get me to talk to their mom or their dad, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, what do we find on?
In Germany, right across the street, there was a playground, and there's a bunch of kids out there. But there was no parents, so it was like the parents that were there, they knew everyone else. So it was like the people looked out for kids that weren't even theirs. So the kids looked, so the parents looked after the kids.
Yeah, Germany was amazing. I had low expectations for Germany. I was like, this is a stopover. Like we're just here because it costs like. I'm very frugal about my travels. Like when people are like, well, how'd you afford to travel? This summer, we went to 6 countries over the course of 6 weeks, and I spent less than $6,000 for these 6 countries. And when we were gone for the 9 months, I think it was like I spent less than like $12,000. And that's because we stay at Airbnbs. I don't do first class flights. I mean, I don't have that bag yet. And even if I did, I don't think I would, especially if it's a short flight. Right. But Germany was so amazing. Like where we were, so I can't say the whole of Germany, but the little city that we stayed in,
so welcoming.
It was like kids central. Like I felt safe. I let her play outside by herself, which I've never let her do in a city that we live. I mean, I'm outside if she's outside. And a parent approached me who spoke English. She's like, why do I see you out here every day? I'm like, because my daughter's over here playing. She's like, no, you go in the house. And because I was working, I'd be on my hunched over all uncomfortable. And like, she's like, we all watch the kids.
Oh, wow.
You know? I'm like, okay. No, she had 2. What the girl? Was it the 2 girls?
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of girls.
But there was like 2 main girls. They would come our Airbnb window. It was an apartment complex, but the host owned the building. So we're on the first floor, and they would come and knock on the window, and like, Jayla play? I'm like, yes. Here she goes.
One of the girls spoke English, so she was able to a little bit. So yeah,
it was like the weirdest. I mean, I don't want to say it was weird. It was unique. One of the girls was German. She only spoke German. The other little girl, her from what I was able to piece together with my little bit of Spanish, her family had immigrated from Cuba to Germany, and she was in an immersion school when she was in Cuba. So she was learning English while she was there. They moved to Germany, and she was learning Germany at another immersion school there. So she spoke Spanish, a little bit of English, enough English for us to communicate, and German. So these 3 together every day.
I was like,
they were a little quick.
That was education.
I said, so she was able to understand a few things I said. So all I said was the time, and we met up the next day at that time.
Yeah, oh, wow. They had it all set up. I'm like, your friends are here, girl. Go outside, go play, have fun.
I was like rushing through my work. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to finish. We're going to meet in a few minutes.
Yep.
That is incredible. Like we can't
even speak the same language.
One could only dream. Like this is it. So it sounds so like, is idyllic a word? Like it just seems so like picturesque and incredible. But like, other than like needing your personal space, do you have any regrets? Like, is there anything that you would change about the way you do it? Anything that's like I didn't anticipate this. This is what I, don't like about it. Or like, is there anything? It seems perfect.
And it's
Other than
not.
like getting on each other's nerves every once in a while. It's like, is there
I,
anything about it that you just don't enjoy?
I think one thing I notice about people who travel, they always post those perfect pictures. They always got these great captions about how wonderful the trip was, but it was only wonderful for that 10 minutes that they took that picture, and the 5 minutes it took them to make that caption. I absolutely love traveling. I enjoy it. Oh,
and
our lamp just went out. We ain't gonna have no more light.
I guess we're in darkness.
Hold on, where's the?
You want me to put on my flashlight?
Yeah, you can. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's the most light we're gonna have right now. A little plug-in light.
Okay, we'll wrap it up.
We gotta charge it. Take it with you. But there
Right in time for the question I just asked too.
There's this type of stuff that happens. There have been times that have been stressful. Like I've been stressed out, and you put child.
Could you just do your phone?
No, I don't know my phone. Oh, I see what you're saying. There have been times where it's been stressful, where I've been like, I miss like, ooh.
Where? This way?
No, put it right there, baby. That was good enough.
Sorry for blinding you.
You did. No, right there. That's good enough.
Okay, I just can't move it too far, or I will.
That's fine. There have been times where it's stressful, like because I'm planning everything and it gets lonely, but not like super lonely. Like when we were traveling, you don't know this story, but while we were traveling, at one point, one of my exes reached out to me, and he was like, "Well, I just want you to come back. Let's work it out." And then I'm sitting like, "Oh, do I go back? Do I fix this?" And then I thought about, no, he's boring, because it's not even boring, but I'm like, he doesn't have a passport. He doesn't travel. And his idea of a good life was like a white picket fence with another child
like
and
2 kids, the perfect husband, the perfect wife,
and it's just
house,
like that idea wasn't appealing. And so I was stressed out about that. Getting sick that one time was stressful. Having to run up a credit card because I thought I had enough money, but I didn't. And then like, well, I lost my card because ATM jacked me. We had ATM ate my whole card, just took it. So
there's a person in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go wrong that you can't anticipate. And I'm just like, you know what? It's the learning curve. Like we just have to.
Oh yes.
Girl, look, when we decided to travel in 2016, that was when we got rid of everything. We were in France. No, where were we? Where did we start? We were in Madrid. We were in Madrid, and from Madrid we were going to go to Morocco, and then from Morocco we were going to Barcelona.
Wait, I think we started in Barcelona and then went to Madrid and then
something. Either way, we missed our flight, and they would not let me take a second flight unless I purchased a flight. So I went and got a rental, and I'm driving at night in a different country, and I couldn't figure out how to get the GPS off Spanish. And I'm like in the car crying, and it was beeping the whole time because the emergency brake was on. I didn't know. So 5 hours, and I hadn't got any sleep. I was stressed out, and we made it to the airport in time to catch our connecting flight, get to Morocco. Only had one suitcase. That was the last time I checked a bag. Like I
put them on a bag. We checked them into the little bag thing.
Yeah, she didn't have her two countries. This child didn't have any clothes.
Just like a dumpling. I mean, some clothes. It's like a dumpling. Yeah,
she had to wear my shirts. I'm like, just put this shirt on. I said, that covers everything up.
Right.
And then I'm just wash the same clothes because we were in Morocco. And they wear like those, what are they called? Like kaftan? I don't know, the little long. Yeah, and they was trying to juke me. And they're like, oh, it costs this much money. And I'm doing the currency exchange. I said, $120? No, I'm not buying that.
Wow.
So then it took a long time. We went to Italy. No, did you have your bag by Italy?
No, you didn't. Got it in France.
So we went to Italy. Luckily, they had like, a regular like shopping mall that we're used to. So I was able to go buy some clothes. And that was a lesson that I learned, that you were supposed to cross pack. So, you know, I put some of my clothes in her bag, put some of her clothes in my bag.
At least had a pair of shoes in each.
Yeah. So I
Witness.
learned that lesson. But I was like, we're not checking no more bags. I'm like, we're just taking our stuff with us, because it was 2 suitcases in our backpacks.
Just slide the backpacks under the seat and put the suitcases
And
out.
at the time, I remember how stressed out I was about it. I was like, oh my goodness, our stuff. Woo. And then our hair stuff was in there too.
Oh, I don't remember that.
No, I remember, because we got to France, and I was trying to find the black part of France. I was like, where's the Africans at? What, don't Africans leave here? Like, they had to have some place. And we found a shop that sold like combs and brushes and picks and olive oil and all that stuff. I'm not olive oil, just regular oil.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anything for our hair for a while. And it was difficult because Italy didn't have nothing that I needed. France didn't. When we got to France, I finally found some stuff. I was like, ooh, because my hair was, it's starting to get dry and crispy. I need all of my oils. And
France wasn't.
And this was before she got her hair locked. So
France was like anticlimactic, very anticlimactic.
France.
We got our pictures and looked amazing, though.
Right.
I didn't like France either.
I only did one little city. I did like a 3-country tour from Barcelona. I did like northern Spain. I did Andorra, and I want to say it's Ole Thermes. They have like natural hot springs and stuff. And yeah, the Pyrenees were beautiful. Beautiful. But I'm like, the food was trash, and I was just like, I'm good. I'm not in a rush to revisit. Maybe Paris, like for the Louvre. Yeah, maybe just want to see the museum, because I enjoy museums as well. But then I also don't, like, I'm a history museum. I love history because of stories.
Yeah.
Art, it's a little more subjective to me, and I'm just like, I don't like it. You know, it's every once in a while, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I don't know why I like it, but this is cute. And then it's like, so art, I'm still trying to grow myself into appreciating. I can appreciate it because in my mind, I can tell a story about something.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like,
yeah.
So I feel y'all on France. I'm in no rush to go back. That would be like a nice little weekend trip or like a nice long layover. But I can't necessarily see myself going there without like an intention. Like, I got to have a reason to be there.
You're like, well, I'm just go to France for a week. Nah, probably not.
I'd rather go to Morocco, South Africa, Kenya.
I'd want to do Germany. After hearing what you guys said about Germany, I definitely want to go see Germany, because I was thinking like, I'm good on Germany as well. Like,
I thought it was gonna be real dry and colorless. That's the word I use, but I liked it. The food's not good. There was nothing that we ate there. Ooh, there was a
cheesecake.
There was a bakery around the corner from where we stayed. It smelled great. I walked past, like, oh, it smells good. We got to get something. We had cheesecake. We had grabbed some cookies. Like, I just started pointing at stuff like that, and that. Got back to our room, saved it for the next day. I'm like, we're gonna have this for breakfast. And I was like, no, it was everything. Like, everything was bland. And
the cheesecake.
The cheesecake, that was foam. I don't know what type of.
Like they added too much sour cream.
It didn't taste like sour cream. It just tastes like foam. Like, I don't.
They made it out of shaving. They made it out of flavorless whipped cream. A hint of shaving. A hint of shaving.
It wasn't good. So the food wasn't great, but the people were. That was the one thing that stood out to me. Like, they were absolutely amazing. They were so helpful and
beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So where can we find you? And where can we purchase this book?
Oh,
it's coming out in the end of March.
Let me go ahead and drop all these pictures that we got. I believe my Instagram is Jai Aliana, JAI_ALIANA. So yeah, Jai Aliana. My daughter has Instagram, but I'm not gonna say that because she's a child show and needs child followers.
I'm a child.
Yeah. But her book, we're working with a self-publisher. That's one thing I want to mention. We are working with a woman here in Atlanta from Literary Revolutionary, and she helps authors become self-published. So her book right now is in the final draft. She's she still has to do like the little headshot picture. And it's going to be available for pre-order in March, and it's going to be available for purchase in May. So she has a website, but it's not fully developed yet. So you just have to follow my Instagram page. And when it happens, that's all I'm posting. I'm like, listen, if you don't look at my daughter's face, you unfollow now. Because Proud Mom, I'm posting all day about this. It will be available on, Amazon. And we're doing this Black bookstore run. So we will be visiting Black-owned bookstores.
Right, I want a book tour.
Yeah, so but we're and we're gonna go to these shops because they take some of these like the smaller mom and pops bookstores. If you're self-published, they may or may not take your book in. But I feel like this little 11-year-old girl with this cute.
Right, I'm like, look at that face. You gonna sell them?
I'm just gonna send her in. I'm like, this is your spiel. You need to go in there and see if they're willing to carry your book, and depending on whatever process they go through, like they're like, oh yeah, give us some books, we'll sell them, or it has to go through the committee first to decide if we want to carry it. That's kind of the plan for the summer, the way the summer is gonna roll out. After, we got the book in the actual.
What's your book about?
Oh, sorry, didn't hear the question.
What's your book about, dear?
It's about dogs. The book is called Traveling with Oz, and it's about a dog named Colton, who in his younger years lived in a valley, but he was taken away from his home and put into a shelter where he stayed for most of his life. He was able to escape and he brought some other dogs along with him, make some others along the way, trying to get back to the valley. But the one thing that stands in their way is some very territorial foxes that get in between them and the valley. How would they ever get past?
I love this.
Buy the
That's
book.
like a story that I would have read at your age. I'm so excited to read that. I can't. Okay.
Yeah, she loves dogs and she loves writing, and she put the two stories together. And I was sitting there all extra deep. I'm like, oh, it's like when the Europeans came to Africa and snatched us away, and then they put us in cages, and then we try to escape. Like, I'm like, yeah, but it's a children's book, so
right. So let's see. We got Mom's IG. We have the end of March for we have March, and it'll be end of May when we could purchase. With pre-orders in March and May, we could actually buy it, and that'll be Amazon, all the like, and we'll definitely have the link when you get that up on the site. And is there anything else you'd like to leave the people with?
Oh, also, I should mention that our YouTube series, Us School, so it's just Us US School. And I would say anyone who's interested in learning about homeschooling should absolutely go there, just so you can get a preview of like how other people are homeschooling, because we're all doing it differently. And I do have a blog. It's called broadabroad.com, but I don't really blog all the time because I have so much stuff that I'm doing. And my teacher website is www.teacherjade.com.
Well, that's an easy one.
Yeah, I know that one because that's where I put my efforts into there. Like, I try to do my social media and stuff, and then I'm like, well, I gotta work and I got to do this with her, and then I'm driving. I also should say, like, I limited my driving. I only do 3 hours, unless I'm ready to get where I want to go. Like, if the next destination is 4.5 hours, I'll do it. But I'll do maybe 2 hours in the morning, and then I'll do the last 3 hours in the afternoon if it's longer. But I have stopped doing long distance drives
because they're sort of
it's exhausting. Like, the day out, if I drive for 10 hours and the next day I'm working and homeschooling, and like, oh, I'm just tired. And then we have to sit in the van because I need to go to sleep. So, do you guys have any closing comments? Oh, okay. My little author, she wrote a book.
I wrote a book. Buy it. Buy it.
Say buy it now. You gotta wait till
buy it in May.
In print.
Please. Buy it.
Ladies, thank you so, so, so much. I had a great time talking with you, and I hope you guys stay safe and continue to learn and broaden your horizons and experience the world together. And thank you for inspiring me to think that I ain't crazy for wanting to just like
What?
live abroad and have my babies travel with me.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you, check out, if you're on Facebook, check out World Schoolers. Like, just look that up. Because I didn't know they existed until I knew they existed. Like, I wish I would have known about them when I took off, thinking I was like, oh, I'm the only one out here traveling with my child. And there's like 10,000 plus people in this group that full-time travel with their children.
It's like, oh, there's more.
Yeah, that's also one of the link ups. I would be like, hey, is anybody here in this place? That we didn't really link up with too many people, but if you ever want that other side of inspiration, it's like, oh, okay, I see how you're doing it. So yeah, we're enjoying it. We're definitely enjoying it.
It's the best ever.
Oh. Thank you so much, ladies. It was an absolute joy to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.